Excuse me. Right, good evening you all. Now, I did make a video about this very thing the other day, but I made a silly mistake in it, so I had to delete it. And I've had one or two people asking me, where's the video, why didn't you post it? So I'll do it again. It's not going to be as good, but it still may help anyone who's interested in the bruiser or the P407. Right, let's get into it. So I don't know, I suppose I'll start at the beginning, right? So, excuse me, what I showed you yesterday was, I don't know how well you can see this, you have to black the background out on you, or the camera doesn't focus in on it. You can tell how good I am at making videos. So anyway, I bought these alloy cast, I believe, I don't know, disappointed because they were expensive, but anyway, these little shock mounts that go on the, where did it go? I'm trying to picture it right now. Do you go, I can't remember whether it's the top or the bottom of the axle, but anyway, you're normally using these and it'll be in like, this would be made of white plastic. They work, but I know one guy who's actually broke one because he drives his to destruction. RC dungeon. But so what I had to do was, I don't know if you can see this, these little shims that come with the kit, the metal shims that with the cut out for the axle, these fit okay in the plastic pieces, but they did not fit in these alloy ones. They were like raised up at one edge. So what I had to do, I took a little grindy, cheap Dremel type grindy thing and ground the edges off all four of them till they fitted nice and snugly in there with silicone. Because here's something I'd admitted to, I scan manuals too quick, and sorry if I'm boring you, but I'm trying to explain here. So in the manual, if you noticed, because I bought two of these, you see, first I bought the kit version, I got stuck building it, so I bought the ready to run version to see where I've gone wrong. It's quite embarrassing, but there it is. So now I've got two of them. Anyway, silicone on there because the manual recommends synthetic rubber. No, I don't know what that is. That's the closest thing I could imagine to synthetic rubber. The only rubber I know is years ago you'd get a puncture repair kit for your bicycle inner tubes, and you'd get a little tube of this stuff called rubber solution. I don't even know if you can get that anymore, but I thought silicone would do the better job. So I've put clear silicone in there. You can't see it now, but there's half or a quarter of a mil of gap there, and that's filled with silicone, which will give it a tiny little bit of how should we call it, cushioning. That's the best way to put it. So I've done all them. I might actually try putting one on now in a minute, and if I do, I'll go for the rear axle first, and I'll tell you why, because the front one's more complicated. So for the rear axle, let me just move this mouse. You want two of these. Excuse that noise, it's a neighbours banging the gate. The two little alloy bottoms that come supplied with the kit, and four of these little U-bolts. Now the rear axle only has these flanged nylock nuts on them. So go for the rear first if you're doing this. I mean, you could just carry on with the plastic. I don't know what the correct name for these is. I'll call them bottom suspension mounts. And I've said in a previous video, well, I'm having a swig of energy drink. I'm tired and it's nearly 10 of the English clock. So yeah, and I thought I was having this great new idea, you see. Not these, let me just show you. Okay, here's easy chassis for now. Now I don't know if you can see that there, I've put a front servo mount in because the servo used to run at the back through a big link and I just didn't like it. I've put a 25 kilogram metal geared servo in the front, and I've got another one of those for the gearbox selector, which will be mounted somewhere around here. And here's what I thought I was being clever. So I got rid of the plastic on the back. I just didn't like it at all, and I've cut this out of aluminium sheet or aluminum if you're American, whatever, I don't care. Just a very rough template because I've got more aluminum. We'll just call it aluminum because most of you guys are American, aren't you? Let's not get into arguments. Yeah, this is template 1. That's why it's all scruffy and drawn on, because I need to get the whole centres right. And in the end, it gets rid of all the plastic. I'll have a nice new shiny one of these built in here. Going to fit the electrics along here. Going to fit the battery around this area, I think. But I've got plenty more aluminum to play with. So I thought that was my idea, and then on the post last night, some fella come up, a video, pictures of a car, and he's already had this idea and done this, and he's done what I was going to do, which is put a little cutout around here, so the drive shaft, even when the suspension is fully compressed, the drive shaft won't catch on this, nothing will catch on this. And so I've gone away from originality. Well, it's a P407, so it's not original, is it? And I like this idea. So let's get back to the fitting of the axle. So, right, here's my 2 axles, front obviously with steering rods, and rear. The diffs are unlocked because I had a problem with the front one. Basically I had to grind a bit of metal away to get the diff lock pin out. Don't know why, but that wrecked the diff lock pin, so I've decided to run these unlocked. The diffs have been heat treated with ZX1 properly. The bearings have all had a little drop of ZX1 out the needle oiler, which I believe the radio control company Schumacher recommends, but don't quote me on that. So rear diff, obviously the input or output shaft is going to go around here. So I don't think I'll do this on video. I might just stick a photo up in the comments. So what I've got to do, right, I said before that I did these with the silicone and I left them overnight to make sure it's fully cured. So they're nice and stuck now. And like I said about, oh my back, not reading the manual properly. Excuse the dirty hands, but it's honest dirt. So these are the little bits that are supplied in the kit with the line for marking your axles up. And it does say in the manual to use this rubber, synthetic rubber, on these little parts too, where it clamps to the axle. And when I thought about it, it became quite obvious. Why? Because, okay, so let's say it went on the axle there. I'm sorry you can't see it very closely, I know. But if you just bolt it up without anything on there, the axle can twist. You see, it can actually twist. So this gives it a nice frictional grip on the axle. And if you're used to working with silicone, you know you'll put it on, it's sticky, it's messy, it's hard to work with. And after about 15 minutes, it will start to set or cure, but you've still got time. So you want to do each axle separately. And you know, this line on the axle, you're meant to line it up with that line. I don't know if you can see that there. If I cover it with my hand, maybe you can. So that lines up with this line on the rear, lines up bob on, dead on. On the front diff, which is why I'm doing that secondly, it actually wants a 5-degree tilt in the front axle on these. 5 degrees. I don't know why. I think it's because of the steering geometry, but I'll do that to the best of my ability. So if you're gonna go this far, I mean, there's no actual need to do any of that, because I know I shout him out, but he's my best friend on this group, RC Dungeon. Your man's helped me a lot. Yeah, he ran his to near destruction, and it still came, it was battered and bruised, but it still came back for more, which is quite cool. So if you're preparing to do this, it might be best if you do it the way I've done it, okay? You order your alloy suspension mounts, like I said. For 4 of them, it's about 30 English pounds. Actually, not 35 English pounds. So, and that's the only, I think it was from Korea where they came from. That's the only place I've found. I was disappointed when I got them because they look like cast alloy, sorry. And the picture in the advert made these look all nice and shiny, but whatever. Hopefully they're stronger than the plastic, and they will look better. And that's, it's bling, isn't it? But it's an upgrade. So yeah. Metal servo horn that came with the servo, ball joint for the steering. Hang on, I'm doing the rear first, aren't I? No, I'll keep it that way because I tend to look at this as the middle. So you're coming in from that way to the middle, or you're coming in from that way to the middle, whatever. Not really much more I can tell you right now, except to say, now I haven't got it here with me, but I have done a video of it and it's on this group. Like I said, I treated these. See, they really are running nice and smooth. You can feel and hear a little bit of gear noise, but you're never going to get rid of that completely. So apparently now the differential gears in there and this spare gear, I think you call it, that goes onto the differential, have been heat treated with ZX1, which apparently virtually eliminates surface friction between metals. So read into that if you want. It's a lot of faffing about, but it might be worth it. I don't know. It gave me something to do. So I'll just put the axle back there. So for now, oh yeah, the silicone I used, I borrowed this off my dad, my father. You only need a tiny bit, you really do. And if you've not worked with silicone before, then have some tissue paper or shit roll, bog roll, and to keep it off your fingers. Common sense, really. Right, so this will be going on here. What I think I might do first is, see, these come with a little cutout there, hopefully you can see that, and that sits on the top of the leaf springs, and that's, should we say, the top part of the axle holder. So your suspension connects there, But what I think I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it on video, it'll take too long. Take a couple of bolts, bolt the suspension to these first. Then when these are on and these cover the springs, you've got somewhere for your axle to sit. So I will probably use silicone on this joint and, like I said before, this joint and this joint. And I know I'm reiterating myself, but my memory's going. I think I'm getting blinking dementia. It will stop any twist. It also gives a tiny bit of cushioning in case of mad hard impact, but I tend to upgrade my stuff more than actually drive it. A bit sad, I know, but I get pleasure from doing this malarkey. But one thing I will mention now, but I'll mention later again, the drive shafts, they have these little pins. Drive shaft pin, you see, too, and threaded. Definitely use thread lock on them, because where's it go there? I didn't really know about the tendency for the drive shaft pins to drop out, and they don't give you any spares in the kit, so you don't want to drop them out. And while I'm remembering thread lock, that's the little hole would be on the top. That should be facing up. That'll be on the top. So I don't know if you can see the blue there. I've thread locked that grub screw into the hole just so it doesn't fall out. The diffs aren't locked, like I said, but did say this last night, bit of a radical idea. If you want to get your finger and some silicone and put a little bit of silicone right along where the axle splits, doesn't matter if it's pretty, doesn't matter at all, along there and along there, okay, that kind of seals the axle except for the end bearings. But so what you can do then is you can take this out and you can fill the diff up to, I don't know, just say there, just below the axle, so even when it articulates, shouldn't really lose much. And then your diff will be running as a wet diff in oil, so, or grease if you want, but anyway, you can feed it in through there, and if you mix ZX1 with your grease or your oil, I believe you're onto a winner. So that's a little thing I don't know if anyone's done. It might be a waste of time, but I believe it's worth a try. Seal the axles, lubricate them through there, see how she goes. Obviously it's not the hardest metal, so if it's running in oil it should theoretically last longer. So I need 2 of those, 2 of those and 4 of these. Don't think I've missed anything. I'm sorry I had to delete the other video. It was better because I showed you grinding the shims to put in, but oh well. Let's just hope I haven't made any mistakes in this one. Right, I'm going to stop it now and upload it.